still have to hit live. Okay, here we go. Okay. All right. I'm camera ready. Good morning. Are you camera ready? Are you looking to sell your home for top dollar? We are in spring. Spring has sprung, and this is the time folks are looking to maximize their equity. And if you are not camera ready, and that means staging as well as photos, which is your first showing, you are not going to squeeze every dollar out of your most precious equity. And we sure want that for you today. My guest, by the way, if I haven't met you, I'm Kat Trelinas with Ta-Da by Kat, Next Level Staging and Design, where we create magical transformations with our visual magic. And today with me, I have an extraordinary award-winning, which is how we hooked up. He has been voted the top 10, actually, who was number 4, best photography in the Houston area. So I'm super excited for him to share his magic with us today. And without further ado, Brandon Boss from Boss Photography, welcome so much. Thank you for joining me this morning on this beautiful day.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So before we jump in, I want to preface it with a couple things our viewers can either watch now or on the flip side. We're going to touch probably a myriad of topics in this short, 25, 28 minutes. But one of the primary things we're going to talk about is mistakes that you don't want to make when you're prepping your home for a photographer, and why you should use a professional photographer. I know we all have these fancy phones that do a lot of stuff, me too, but I would never try to delve into and cross that lane into professional real estate photography. So Brandon's going to discuss with us about that, not, cell phone versus professional, and whatever else we have time that we can pick his genius brain with. So Brandon, let's just dive in and tell us a little bit about your company. I know you're one of the largest companies, and again, kudos to you, excuse me, for landing best photography company, in the top 9. That's a great bragging point for you.
Thank you. Yeah, so Studio Voss, I started about 9 years ago, and back then it was just me, shooting 1 or 2 houses at a time, and a week, and eventually I got to where I couldn't fulfill orders fast enough, so I added another photographer and then another, and so on. And now we shoot we average about 200, 220 properties a month. In the summer,
wow.
Yeah, in the summer it could be up to 300 plus. But I don't. We're definitely not the largest, but we probably are in the top 5, I would say, companies. I know there are some.
That's amazing. So you're not the McDonald's of photography.
No,
but you got it down. Your expertise, 9 years. That's just speaks volumes. The talent, the time, the experience that you have, which is really why I wanted to. It struck me when I saw your being voted top photographer, and I said that's somebody I want to talk to because we want to pick your brain and your genius on these topics. So, talk to us about what do you see as, let's say, one of the biggest or the top 3, however you want to couch it, mistakes that folks, whether that's a realtor or a seller or combination, make when they're getting ready for photography. Now, coming from staging, staging's number 1. You got to have the clean, the declutter, it has to be staged. But let's talk about your niche when you get in there. And I already kind of can imagine one thing is finding it not staged, but I'm going to let you have the floor. What are you seeing when you go out there, your team?
I would say the biggest mistake, and I call this a rookie mistake, because you find this a lot with new realtors and ones that don't have the experience under their belt yet.
But, and you know what? That's not meant derogatory. Everybody started out as a rookie. Yeah, everybody started out as a rookie. So if you're new, don't take that as offense. We're here to help
Right.
power you up with knowledge.
Exactly. That's why I'm bringing it up, and
Yep.
because you don't have to look and act like a rookie if you are one. Like, and
There
it's
you
not,
go.
and that's why I want to bring this up, and that is the biggest mistake. Without further ado,
Drum roll.
is drum roll
Oops.
is not visiting the property ahead of time. I see.
Really? That happened?
You'd be surprised how often it happens where I show up to the listing and I may call the agent and say, "Hey, it's supposed to be empty right now. Like nobody's supposed to be home, but there's cars in the driveway. It looks like there might be somebody home. I just want to check before I go knock on the door." And or I'll say like, "Hey, the yard's not mowed," things like that. Like, "Are you sure you want me to take photos?" And then they'll say, "Well, actually, I haven't even been there yet." And I'm like,
Wow.
"So, are you paying me to take the pictures so that you can see the property, or, or what's the thing?" And then
Wow.
the other thing, which is probably even more common actually, is they may have initially seen the property and then they walked the property with the sellers and said, "Oh, you should move this, you should move that, yada yada," and but then they don't come back
To
like
see
a
if
day
it's
or two
done.
ahead of time to see if it's
Ah.
done. They just
Ah.
trust, and
Ooh.
imagine, and the seller could be your cousin or one of your best friends, and you just trust that they are going to take care of
Gonna get
it.
it done.
But actually, if they're that close to you, I would say that chances are higher that they didn't do everything that you asked because they may not have taken you as seriously.
Mm.
And so, one of my big tips for either newer or less experienced realtors would be not only visit it maybe a day or two out, but then come like an hour ahead of time at least before the photographer arrives so that you can walk the property and fine tune things.
Absolutely.
So,
Can I
because we're
interject?
there,
Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. Well, I was just going to say we're there to take pictures.
Yes.
We're not there to clean house. We're not there to
Nope.
stage.
And I
Like,
want to let's put a pin in that because I want to find out what you do in that case to really tell what are the ramifications of that. But I just want to put it out there that I know realtors right now, many of them, some are slow, some are busy. It really depends on what your business model is. But we are approaching the spring summer busiest time of the year. Maybe you say, well, I just don't have time. I'm at closings, I'm at inspections, and so on and so forth. So just to put it out there, you can have a staging company, myself, someone else. We personally do what's called camera ready. We don't like doing sight unseen, but we will do it. Say, I need someone to do camera ready. I need you to go out. It's a 2,500 square foot home. Just make sure the pictures are not hung too high. Everything's picked up. There's no visual cacophony, as I call it. And in an hour or two, make it camera ready. So that's a service that staging companies, as well as our company, offer. And it would behoove you if you don't have money for full-on staging, bringing in power pieces, et cetera. And we're talking about occupied right now. Invest, in the thousands that you're going to make. Invest, a couple $100 or whatever it is, $200 to $400 to have a pro come and make it camera ready. So when Brandon shows up, boom, you're good to go. So taking that pin out, what would happen? What happens? What do you do when you show up and it's like nothing like you thought it was going to be?
that's a good question. So we take it case by case, and we always will contact the agent and say, it's not ready. And then what do you want to do? Do you want us to shoot it as is, or do you want to reschedule? And I think it's better to spend, a little money to just reschedule than it is to shoot it as is. I would
Well,
rather
Brandon,
have.
yeah, you absolutely are 100% correct because the old adage, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Your first impression is online. Your first showing is online.
Absolutely.
And that means great photos. Yeah, it means staging, but it means great photos. So, yeah, don't take the shortcut.
Yeah, and sometimes we will, like, let's say the house is ready with the exception of the living room.
Right,
Maybe there's like they've moved like this happened actually
really,
yesterday. There was a dining room that the sellers had, I guess, got a new fridge.
right.
And so the old fridge, they just scooted it into the dining room.
Ah,
And the dining room was, staged as well as it could have been. It had
right,
place settings and everything.
sure.
And but there was a refrigerator in there. So in our case, we can go in and we'll just digitally remove the refrigerator.
Yeah, but
So
you have to charge for that, right?
of course, yeah, we'll charge. So in this case, I think they spent $10, and then we removed the refrigerator for them.
Okay, that's not bad. So
So
I have a
no, it's not bad.
question. I have a question because one of my pet peeves and my team, if you're watching out there, hi Sally, by the way, I love my Sally gave me this one. One of my team members, cords. Spaghetti cords. We have so much
Sure.
technology. I mean, right now, if you looked under my desk, yeah, it's spaghetti cords, and I'm getting ready to shoot my house. So I'm going to have to stage it to look like I don't do anything electronic. Sometimes you can't do that because people are working at home and can't have them unplugged and this and that. Is that something that you do automatically for a small up level fee? I'm sure.
Well, if there's just, one or two pictures that has a spare cord, I'll probably go in when I'm doing my quality control and I'll just remove the cord.
I like that.
And I'm not
I
going to
like
charge
that.
anything for that. Now, if the house is riddled with cords everywhere, then yeah, we'll contact the agent and say, hey, we noticed there's a lot of cords and it might be a little distracting. Would you like to spend an extra $20 and we'll just go through all 30, 40 photos and just remove all the cords?
All the cords. Yeah.
And because like I have a team of editors and I'm paying them. So if I have costs, then there's gonna be costs. But if there's
Absolutely.
just if there's just one or two photos and I can do it myself without having to spend a lot of extra time, then I'll just take care of it.
So let me ask you this, Brandon. Do you have, I know some photographers will send out a pre-shooting checklist, like move your car across the street, roll up the hose. We personally have and if anybody out there would like it, we have a professional 6-minute video that talks about all the things that you don't think about to prep, cords, cards, mulch, dog dishes, trash can, all the stuff you don't think about because you're living in the home, because I've said it a million times, how we market to sell our home is different than how we prepare it or how we live in our home. So do you send out some sort of a cheat sheet checklist for sellers and or realtors to kind of work off of?
So we don't automatically send it out, but we do make it known that if you go to the website, studiovoss.com, there's a link for a preparation guide.
Oh, perfect.
And
So studiovoss.com, we're going to plug in your website right here.
sure.
And that's V like Victor, O-S like Sam, studiovoss.com. So you've got that all on your website, and they can pull down a prep sheet.
Yes, ma'am. And what I tell agents is when you give this, actually, the best thing to do, in my opinion, if you're an agent, copy my list and then make it your own. Put your logo on it, all this stuff, and then you send it out to your agent or your sellers ahead of time from you, and make yourself look that much better.
I
Because
love that. So if you're a realtor out there, did you hear that? You can pull down the make ready sheet off of Brandon's site.
Yes.
Is it a DOCX or is editable?
It's just a simple text bulleted list, so that it's real
perfect.
easy to copy and paste.
Very easy. Put your logo on it. Put it in your listing presentation. Again, I think that's awesome. It makes you look like the professional. We offer marketing tools like that as well for our realtor partners because you want to arm them with as much information as possible so that they are the consummate professional. They're looking to the realtor to give them the best advice so that they can get every penny of equity out of their, hard-earned equity, and
Sure.
especially at this time.
And speaking of the list, it's rather long. Mine is rather long. What I tell the agents to convey to their sellers is do as much of this as you can. Like
Exactly.
don't break your back because selling. I've sold two of my own houses. Um, Selling is really stressful,
It
and getting the
is.
house ready is really stressful. It's nice to use someone like you that will just handle it for you if you have the means to do that, but not everybody does. And so I tell them, don't cry over this, don't sweat over this, but do as much as you can.
Exactly.
Remove the dog bowls, declutter your kitchen counters, make sure all your light bulbs are working and that they're all the same color.
That's a key one.
um,
I'm glad you bring that up because yeah, that's key. I just did a whole blog on lighting and the correct lighting, et cetera. Because yeah, as I tell my team when they stage, before you leave the room you're assigned to, take 3 pictures in 3 angles, because what you don't see, the camera will. And you'd be amazed, the eyesores you see where you think it looks great, and especially when it comes to beds, making beds and having them even or uneven or centering something to where it looks symmetrical. And I know that being a professional photographer, the camera does not lie.
oh yeah, I get people all the time saying, when you took the picture, the light that hangs over the table isn't centered over the table. Can you fix
Yep,
that? And then I'll tell them like the camera doesn't lie. I mean, it wasn't centered over the table.
yep,
So you would need to move the table, I guess.
yep. And retake a picture.
Now,
Yeah.
right. Now, if it's something like that and it's pretty simple, I don't have a problem doing it. Now, removing a water tower behind the house, that I have a problem with.
Well, so would MLS, so would HAR.
So would
So
MLS, so would HAR. Yeah, they would find you,
power
I think.
line, power lines, water tower, because that's something for me, would be an issue. Other people it would not, but yeah, I mean, I know we all know there's photographers out there and specific realtors who use photographers who will make the house look like a cartoon,
Oh yeah. Oh my
right?
goodness.
Over uh,
Over
dubbed.
edit.
Yeah,
Yeah, they'll
over. Yeah.
over edit
Yeah,
and
and I think people walk in, they're like, well, this doesn't look anything like it, so there's a fine tune, I think, just like we see people who are over filtered,
right. Oh
on
yeah.
Facebook and Instagram, like, I know they don't look like that.
So and I have to, like you said, I've got to find that happy medium because like on the one hand, I need to show the entire room, preferably in one photo. So that requires a wide angle lens.
So let's talk
Um,
about that. Let's talk about
yes.
that. I'm going to recap, not visiting the property is number one, but let's talk about why, and you and I both have seen this, where realtors will opt to use their cell phone to take pseudo professional pictures,
Sure.
and I'm here to tell you, if you're a professional, don't cheap out on that. You don't have a wide angle lens. I mean, I've played around with wide angle lens on cell phone attachments. They don't work. You're not doing the property justice. Secondly, when months down the road or years down the road and folks look at your portfolio, they can tell what effort, time, and money you put into marketing. And if you use just your cell phone, it's telling. It's really telling. Would you agree with that, Brandon?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And even if you have so my phone, I've got the Pro, and it actually has a wide angle lens, and in
Does
fact,
mine? I have the 11 Pro. It has the wide angle
you
lens.
do. I can see it. I can see it.
Really?
Like you
How do
have
I
you
know
have
it's
an
doing?
ultra wide.
How do I know if it's doing wide angle? I didn't even know I had
So,
it.
well, by default, it'll do a 1x. But if you click it, then you can pop it to half x, and then it will go super
That's
wide.
what that is. Okay,
But
guys.
agents don't do that. Like,
Well,
so
and tell us why we don't want to do that for
right.
professional
So
real estate photos.
two of the main reasons. One is you don't know how to take the photo. I unless you know, like I went to school for this, not specifically for real estate, but for photography. And I have, I guess you could say I have an eye for the angles and whatnot. And then my photographers, I taught them myself. They had to go through weeks and weeks of training before they start shooting. We know how to get the right angles. The second thing is we edit those photos to get the colors accurate. You cannot do those two things yourself with a cell phone, even if you have the ultra wide angle lens. Which,
Okay,
by the way, yeah,
go ahead. By the way,
I
what?
was just gonna say that the ultra wide angle lens on the cell phone is actually just a hair wider than what I shoot with my real estate lens.
Interesting.
So,
But
um,
but but let me ask you this, Brendan: Is the I don't have training in photography, but is the pixels or is there degradation of the clarity of the photo? Is what I'm thinking. Even though we can do it on here with wide angle, aren't we going to lose pixels or something?
well, on the high end phones, the resolution is good enough for MLS purposes.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, you wouldn't want to put it in a magazine or something like that, but for MLS purposes, you could probably get away with it resolution wise.
Resolution wise, that's the word I was thinking of.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
right.
So
But
what's the biggest telling thing? Number one, that we or they would not have the ability to really fine tune. And that's where it comes between being okay photos and great photos. Okay.
color is the big telltale sign. Like if
Color.
I go through, if I'm going through MLS, I used to do a long time ago. I used to go on MLS and I would search. I would draw my polygon or whatever, and
Right.
I would create a search, and I would go through and browse for bad photos, and then I would contact the agent and say, "Hey, I noticed that your photos, and you know, you have to find that nice way of saying it, but
Sure.
I noticed your photos could use a little improvement. I live in the area. I would like to go ahead and take your pictures. I'll do it for a discount. I have super access. I can just go and take care of this whenever you don't even have to be there. I'll just go take care of it for you." But the way that I would find it, usually the easiest way is color. Like I'm going through and the colors are all over the place because even if you did have all the same colored light bulbs throughout your home, you have light coming through windows, you have reflections, you have, you know,
And most
just
people have their shades down. I think I told you I just did a blog on
exactly.
Let There Be Light
Let
because
there be light.
yeah, people want light and bright, and so many people have they have light, but they live in a cave and they keep
Right?
everything. And then if the pictures get shot, with a cell phone, because they're not a professional, they typically don't open them. That's what I see when I look for bad, you know, pictures and maybe some help
Right?
in seeing is that they're so dark, really
They
dark.
look gloomy, you know.
Gloomy, yes.
Yeah.
That's not inviting,
So
is it?
right, and my favorite is when you see their hand holding the phone in the mirror,
Oh, Lord.
um, or even worse, their whole body just standing there taking a picture, and I'm like, all right, you didn't even try. I mean, and like
Yeah.
you said, when I'm a seller and I'm looking for an agent, and if I'm doing my due diligence, I'm going to look at their past listings. And if I go through and look at your past listings and I see a bunch of cell phone photos that are clearly taken with a cell phone, I'm gonna be thinking, what am I paying you for? Like, and
Exactly.
a lot of uh, sellers are thinking like, oh, well, I'm going to get this, I'm going to net this much money on the house. They don't think about the fact that the agent is getting paid. I mean, it's not a free service. They're working for this,
Yes.
and if they're doing things like cell phone photos, they might not be. you know, doing the effort that they need to in other areas. Like they may not come visit the home and things like that.
Absolutely. And I think that's what really realtors need to look at, and especially, maybe newer realtors is, so it's your branding, it's your reputation. This is going to keep you getting, more listings, et cetera, instead of going through this, okay, I sold my brother or someone at church, et cetera, because your work is going to speak volume. So not only is it your branding, it's your reputation, and it's your commission, because if the photos look fabulous, which is your first showing online, you get more showings and a higher offer. What does that translate into? Higher commissions, more equity for your client. So it's really, not to be kitschy, but it's a win-win.
Sure.
Don't do your sellers a disservice and just, take the short way, the shortcut out, because both of you will be missing out.
Sometimes I think about the fact that you know, in the old days, my grandfather started Remax of Texas
No
back in
kidding.
the '70s, and you know,
Wow.
back then, the commission was well, if you go back far enough, it was usually just a salary. But when agents started making a percentage, that percentage hasn't really changed. But what has changed is the amount of work that went into it. So back in the day, you know, when you had listings, the reason we call them listings is because they used to physically be on a list. And so when I'm a buyer, I would go to the agent and say, "Hey, I need a house that's a 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, yada yada, in this certain area." And then the agent would go and look at a physical list of homes, and then they would find that home, and then they would look at if there were photos taken. It was usually a roll of film, and this is why HAR used to have they would cap your photos at 32 photos, because that was a roll of film back in the day. A roll of film would be 32 photos, so
Right.
they just grandfathered that in. Well, now it's 50 photos, which we don't always do unless the house is really really huge.
Sure. You want to put the
Um,
best pictures. Yeah.
I'd rather have fewer higher quality photos than a bunch of just photos. Some agents will go in
Absolutely.
and fill it with 50 photos, and then I'm a buyer just going click, click, click.
Click,
Oh
click,
my
click,
gosh,
because they're
there's no
not fabulous. They need to look fabulous. So we are
right.
running to the bottom of the hour. I'm okay if we go
Sure,
over about
sure.
5 minutes to make sure everything that we talked about. So we shared one of the biggest mistakes that you're seeing is that agents will not even go to the house prior to hiring you and paying good money for photographs. So don't do that. And if you don't
Right.
have the time, hire a staging company to make it photo ready so it looks
Absolutely.
fabulous, so that you can maximize for your seller as well as yourself commissions. Number two, don't take pictures with your cell phone. You're not going to get that top quality color. It's going to make the difference between okay photos and fabulous photos. And just remember, your first showing is online. Those photos need to look fabulous. And that's what a professional photographer like Brandon's team can do, is really tweak those colors, take out cords if need be, get the right angles that really speak to potential buyers. And what's a third tip that we could either, that you're, either mistake, and we'll flip that to a tip that you're finding out there, Brandon.
If I had to pick one thing, it would be focusing on the wrong areas to market the house. And I'm talking about marketing the house. So let's say you did get photos, but then you do nothing with them. You just put them on the listing. I would say another pro tip, something that the really experienced agents do, they're sharing it on Facebook, they're boosting the listing, they're geo-targeted marketing. You know, if you order a video, you know, like one of our services is video. So if you order video and you put it on the listing and that's it, well, on HAR, you can hardly even find where the video is if you're a buyer. But if you're
Absolutely,
taking,
and especially
if
someone who's not high
yeah,
tech, and that
right,
that would include me. I grope around to find stuff.
absolutely. But if you're taking a
So
video
make
and
it
you're
evergreen. Yeah, if you're paying
right,
for a video, one of Brandon's professional, either walkthrough, cinematic, aerial, and you'll want an aerial if you've got, some sort of,
Acreage or
acreage,
whatever. Yeah.
where the topography is really important, and Brandon can share that information when that is best for you. But make it evergreen, share it. I'm actually, you have to remember it as a business person, independent business person. It's like I'm working with someone to boost up my Pinterest because I haven't really done anything with it. I have a lot of content. I'm looking at my computer going, I have lots of content. I've got videos, I've got this, I've got that.
Sure.
But you know what? It's kind of like when I was in a yellow page advertising back in the 80s, we used to have a saying when someone would say, oh, I don't really have a budget to be in the yellow pages. And my favorite comeback was, you're kind of like the person who winks in the dark. You know you did it, but nobody else does.
Right.
So don't be that person that winks in the dark.
Absolutely.
Get it out there. Use that content and be out there. LinkedIn, social media, targeted Facebook groups. Beyond. And many realtors may know, many may not know. And correct me if I'm wrong, but when you share your MLS, because MLS will let you share it on Facebook, they don't allow it visibility for it. Is that correct? I read that somewhere that to put MLS right on Facebook.
If you're sharing,
the optimal way is to do it like maybe in an MP4 or a different format. Don't just take it.
Absolutely. So if you take the link from HAR, or even worse, if you're on HAR and you hit the share button.
And I think many people do that. I mean,
right.
Back in the day, I used to do that. Oh yeah, this is so easy.
The best way to do it is to download the video, upload the video to Facebook, and then have the link in the description. And then that way it'll autoplay.
That's worth repeating. So if you're a realtor out there, download the video, then upload the video to Facebook or whatever social media, and then just type the link in the body of the message. You'll get, for some reason, much better algorithms than if you just hit that share button from MLS.
The main thing is that it'll autoplay. Like if you do it that way, it's going to autoplay because most Facebook users are just scrolling, and then when they get to a video that's autoplaying, then they'll stop for a second. If it's just a link from HAR, then they're just going to keep on scrolling because that requires an extra click.
What makes it autoplay? Just to get a little techie, that's when you actually put it in the body.
That's where when you upload the physical video file, that will allow it to autoplay
on your hard drive. So you've got you've downloaded it to your computer, to your hard drive, saved it somewhere where you can remember, and when you go into Facebook, you can upload it, and you'll get that autoplay.
Yes,
great information. We are coming at 10:33. Brandon, you have been a plethora of information, and I look forward to personally working with you. I know you have a plethora of offerings. What is the best way for folks to reach out to you? And you work the greater Houston area, basically?
That's right.
Okay.
Conroe to Galveston, Columbus to Baytown. We're all over the place.
I love it. Where's Columbus?
Columbus is about halfway to Austin.
Wow, as far as that.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
So StudioVoss.com is, and you mentioned it earlier, and my name is on the screen. StudioVoss with 1S.com is the best way to see what we offer, and you can place an order right on the website.
Nice.
You can see the calendars and just place an order.
Nice.
And that's the best way, I think, to find me. We're also, of course, on Instagram, Facebook, you name it. It's always at Studio Voss. So,
and all those links will be on your website.
Sure, absolutely.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. It was such a pleasure, Brandon. You shared so much great information, and I hope everyone listening enjoyed this. If you know someone who needs to know this information, share it with them. We'd appreciate that. Make a comment. And also, we are looking for guests for April. So if you know anyone, anything to do with home, it's Kat's Home Chat, not just real estate, but home chat, anything that happens at home. We even had a sex therapist, hey, Brian, in our self-care month of February. So we love all topics, but I particularly have a heart for entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, anyone who has their own business. and would like a platform, we stream on 3 sites, and then this is going to be uploaded to our YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, Ta-Da by Cat, please do hit the bell. You'll be notified when new stuff is uploaded. And we're tweaking and working on our Pinterest site right now, and I'm excited about that with Tori Talk. In fact, I'm going to have her on my show soon here. If you're watching this, Tori, give me a date in April. And as usual, we wish you a wonderful weekend and ask you to stay hopeful, stay positive, and stay connected. And we thank you so much for connecting with me and Brandon Voss from Voss Studios today. Have a wonderful weekend. And Brian, I'm going to end here, and you can stay on for a minute if you like. Bye, everybody.
Sure.